Hi, this is Bev from scrapandthread.blogspot.com. I wanted to show you a smash book that I've been working on. I've actually made a few of them recently, and I put the instructions on my blog and realized there were a few things that may be a little bit confusing. So this is my first video ever, so thank you for joining me, and I hope that I can share with you some things that you might find to be useful. This one I'm making for my niece who's going away to college, and the reason why I decided to make my own was because everybody has different things that they want to keep track of. And I think the idea behind the smash book is great, but this is sort of my own little version that I'm making for her, and then I've made some for my two daughters. My 6-year-old loves to collect stuff. So this is hers, and she has lots of little envelopes and pockets, and you can see she's started to do stuff. I love this little pocket because it'll keep some collections for her in there. It's an old plastic case that some stamps came in, some acrylic stamps from Close to My Heart came in. She has other little pockets and tags and things like that. And her needs are totally different than somebody who is going off to college. So she has lots of pages to do her own little Zentangles and her sticker collection, things of that nature. All of us have a calendar that I stuck in here that I printed off, and all of us also have the authentic smash book pen where it's glue on one end and ink on the other, and I bound them all with my cinch. Mine's a little different. First of all, I made a little mistake when I made the ribbon loop. I forgot to stick it on the back cover on the inside, so I ended up putting mine on the front. Everybody else's will be in the back. And mine also has lots of envelopes. There's an envelope on the front cover. There's another envelope in the back. So that's a little bit different. And I made a lot of pockets for me also, because I keep track of a lot of different things throughout the day and throughout the year. So I just recently finished mine. And I have two smash pens, one's pink and one is blue. So in order to make the books, I was using a cover that is 6 inches by 9 inches, and then the pages on the inside were easy because then I made them 5.5 by 8.5, so I could cut a regular piece of paper in half and use that. And then I put lots of different things in there for pockets and other types of things. I used a white cardstock. Well, it's more like cardboard, but it was the backing and some paper packs that I had. And I used this for the dividers between the different sections. And this measures 5 3/4 across by 8 3/4 high. And the reason for that is so that it would stick out obviously as a divider. And then on my computer, I printed up different things that made sense to me. Everybody obviously has their own stuff that would be important to them. I have stuff to save, inspiration, random, and when. And the when is because of the calendar. So then what I did was, after I printed it out, I used a punch from Stampin' Up! To punch this out, and then you just fold it in half and adhere it on the edge like that to make your little label tags, and that will help you to be able to hopefully stay a little bit more organized. The pockets that I made, and this is the part that I thought was confusing and the main reason why I was doing the video, these are 12 inches long, but I folded them up. So this pocket is 4 inches, and then this piece back here is 8 inches. And the width is 6 inches across. However, I cut 1/2 inch off on 8 inches of it to be able to make a little pocket flap that I adhered down with my ATG gun. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, because I think that is still confusing. So the easiest way for me is to use a cutter like this, and I just measure, so it's 1/2 inch, but I don't start cutting until the 8-inch mark. And then at the 8-inch mark, I just press down firmly to cut that, and then you'll see I have this little flap here, and then all I need to do is cut off that little flap. So you just line it up and chop that off, and the nice little thing is that it points to that, so it shows you. So you have this little flap here, and then all you do is score this and fold it under, and then, and I'm not scoring it so it's not folding evenly, but and then you would score again here and fold this up. So this makes your pocket, and then you would adhere it on this side with the little flap. This side you can leave open because it's going to be bound in with your coils if you're using a cinch. You can also use, if you don't have something to bind it, like a bind it all or a cinch, you could also make this to go, you can make it larger and you can make it go into a regular 3-ring binder, or you can use binder rings and make it whatever size you want. You can just punch holes and use yarn or string. There's lots of different ways to bind it. On the back cover, as I said before, I had made a mistake with mine and with my niece and my daughters. I just made a ribbon loop, and I figured out about how big I wanted this ribbon loop to be so that it could fit the Smash pen. Which is the only authentic Smash thing that I have, actually. Everything else was found objects, and I have a lot of supplies and papers. This is a great thing to use up old papers. Anyway, so I made a loop. I figured out how big the pen was. I made a loop, and I just stapled it, and then I would adhere it down, and then to cover that up, I'll stick an envelope that happens to be the same size as my chipboard cover right on the back there, so then that way it'll cover that part up. And I didn't do anything to decorate the back of the cover. Let me show you some of the things that I'm putting into the Smash book. I have, like I said, these little pockets. These were from close to my heart. I have some little glassine envelopes, some little journaling type tags, but certainly you could just cut up little pieces of paper if you have a stamp or something else to make lines on there. If that was important to you, you could do. I have lots of other little envelopes with cards. That's just a little 3x3 envelope. As I said, the calendar before. I found the calendar online. I found 2 different calendars that I could print up off of some websites, and that's on my blog. If you'd like to get calendars to print up, and you can make them in different sizes, so that part's nice too. And I had found one of the websites had some cool graphic type things like graph paper, circle graph paper, stuff of that sort. And then I have lots of papers that are just different colors, and some of them have things printed on them and some of them don't. But the idea is that you make it yours. It's something that's fun for you, and is personal. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was, you know, in order to personalize the cover, and this is true of anything, you can write on there, you can print it up on your computer. This part I just typed on my computer, did some word art, and printed that out, as well as her name. And this part was all stamped. I used 2 different close to my heart stamps. This is the pennant one, and then this one is a 2-step process where you take the letter that you want and you stamp it, and I used a darker ink. This happens to be, in this case, Pacifica. So here's the letter, and then in order to make the cool little polka dot that's in the middle, I used a lighter color and used this polka dot part of the stamp. I just stamped over the letter, and it didn't have to be perfect because I knew I was going to use a hole punch and punch that out. So if I didn't spend a lot of time lining it up, it wasn't very important. In addition to that, this is pretty easy to see through, but I'm sort of at an angle, so those are really easy to line up. Anyway, I appreciate you spending some time with me. I hope this was helpful to some of you, and you can look at more instructions on my blog. It's scrappinthread.com. Video.blogspot.com. Thanks so much.